Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our regular BOCC meeting for September 11th, 2024. Before we call the roll, I'd like to invite Sean Fletcher to provide us with an invocation and lead us in the pledge.
Good morning. Today is 9/11, and I thought we should take a moment to reflect on that date in American history. The words that come to mind for me every time a 9/11 comes are the words, "Let's roll." These were the last recorded words of passenger Todd Beamer on board United Airlines Flight 93 during the September 11th attacks in 2001, before he and other passengers attempted to storm the cockpit and retake the plane from the hijackers. 9/11 has become slang in America for events that took place in the United States on September 11th. This was when terrorists attacked the World Trade Center in New York and the Pentagon. After 9/11, everything changed in America. Let us take a moment now to reflect on those events and remember those who sacrificed their lives and gave everything. Let us pray. For the word of God is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes in the name of Jesus. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to remember those who gave so much. We ask, Lord, that you continue to bless this nation, to watch over our leaders, to continue to build hope, and help us to make sense of the tragedy. We thank you, Lord, for the future. We thank you for our blessings. Amen. I pledge the allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Sean. Emily, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Thayer?
Here.
Commissioner Richardson?
Here.
Commissioner Schroeder?
Here.
All righty, it's 9:03 and we do have a quorum. First item we have on the agenda is approval of the agenda. I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. First item of business we have is the items on consent. I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the items on the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the items on consent. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving on to elected officials, department heads, and staff reports. Do we have anything from elected officials?
Good morning, Commissioners. Monty Hinkins, Elbert County Public Works Director. I'm up here today to kind of give kudos and recognize some Public Works employees that, in Rhonda and I's opinion, went a little above and beyond with moving the ballot box at the County Road 166 location. I don't know if this shows online, but the picture that's being displayed up there is the box that in its new location. Its old location was at the Elizabeth Firehouse there out in front, and there were issues with how tight that parking lot was, and then connectivity to the security camera on there and things of that nature. So we have the property directly behind the firehouse to the north. We were already in motion in doing a pavement job on 166, and part of that pavement job on 166 was to pave the road into our facility, plus it also is the access for the firehouse, and there was some asphalt issues, significant issues on that drive into that, both their facility and our facility. So we mitigated that as part of the process with the 166 pave job. When this came about, the timing was perfect because we could just add on the picture, the asphalt to the right is basically all the extra asphalt that we technically added to make this happen. So that worked out really well. The rest of what you see in the picture, the ballards, the concrete, the paint job, the light pole, and everything were done by the Public Works employees that I like to recognize today, well above and beyond. I mean, they did all the work in-house ourselves. Robert Nelson, our assistant foreman of the project crew, came up with the paint idea. Very patriotic. I think it was very, very well done. And we had the light pole already from our facility that we built on the east side of town here. There were a couple light poles left over from that we kept in case we needed to do something of this like this. So that was at no cost. And then our IT department is, I think, tomorrow going out to get up the security camera and stuff like that, and this should be ready to go for the public. So that being said, I'd like the guys to stand up. Jay Walp is the foreman of that crew. He kind of came up with a lot of the idea of how to lay this out. Robert Nelson and Matt Musterman are the gentlemen that did all the work on it, you know, the concrete, the paint job, putting everything up, getting the ballards. So I think these guys went well above and beyond, and it is a job very well done.
Thank you very much.
So I'll talk into the mic, but when I asked Monty to look at that property, Dallas and I had looked years ago, and it just didn't work out, and I said, well, let's go take a field trip out there. I had no idea how excited these guys were to do this, and so he had these guys meet us out there, and they said we could do this. We walked the property, found the right place for it, and I think I'm gonna send this out because I think there's some other people that need to up their game because we have a model drop box, and the other thing that is going to be really cool is it's right behind you. Turn in the same place where the drop box was, so the public will know where it is. The people that are used to doing that will have big signs, and they just drive in the same place, and so it didn't move anywhere. It hasn't disappeared anywhere, and so we just can't be prouder. We have new staff and a new elections director, deputy of elections, and he went out there and he said, oh, everybody's gonna be jealous of this. He said, the other counties, he said, I wasn't sure what I was gonna find going out, and the road and bridge guys are doing it, and he goes, oh man, he couldn't believe it. So we just thank them so much, and we just appreciate the partnership of what they have done. So we have this picture for them, so.
If you could, it looked like Mr. Hill wanted to get a photo. If you guys could gather by the flag with that photo and Rhonda, I think that would be a nice touch and help get the word out to folks as well. Thank you so much, guys.
As I stated a couple meetings back, we had submitted everything to FEMA for the 2023 flooding reimbursement on the projects. Well, we completed everything in-house, actually. So we are in the process, hopefully today or tomorrow, to submit the final County Road 112 to them now that that's complete, and that will be the last project for submittal. But to my shock, on Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember what day, our finance director came and said we had received funds from them already.
Sure that wasn't from the 2013 vote?
No, I know, it was kind of a surprise to me too. So the FEMA submittal was broke down into 3 different categories, A, B, and C. We have received funds back for categories, I gotta get my glasses on here, A and B. And what those are is, I think A is the debris cleanup, if I remember right. Yeah, A is the debris cleanup, and then B is for the actual action that happened while the flooding was going on, the emergency response aspect of it, where we ran out of cones, we ran out of signs, we had to buy some stuff, and we had a lot of expense going on during the flooding.
Remember those calls?
Yeah. So I don't remember the actual cost because this is just a reimbursement percentage. I don't have the cost in front of me, but I have the reimbursement, what we got back from them. So category A, we got $60,768.25. That's the debris aspect. Category B, the response, we received back $175,580.10. And those are the dollars that are going to Road and Bridge. There was a small $7,000 expense that came out of the general fund that's reimbursed to the general fund for the helicopter that we used during the assessment, and then also there was a resident rescue out of Agate while we had possession of that helicopter. So I'm pretty excited. I mean, that, you know, all in all, actually, I misspoke. Category B was $114,811.85. The total of those two together to Road and Bridge was $175,580.10. So, and I can get you guys those numbers, but I'm pretty excited that we're already getting money.
Yeah.
I mean, I was kind of just tentatively expecting a couple years, you know, the way things seem to have worked in the past when we've been down this road, so good deal.
Well, hopefully we see category C sooner than
Yeah.
in a few years, but that, I know that's the bulk of the
Yeah,
reconstruction.
hopefully. I mean, especially since, you know, there's not really any bridges involved with them, because the 3 bridges that have damage that we will be working on, the County Road 170 bridge, they took it off of FEMA because the damage underneath had been, in their opinion, over a lot of years of sitting in the water. The other 2 bridges, the County Road 150 bridge and the County Road 162 bridge out by Agate, those are federal highway. Now, that's on their radar for reimbursement. So once we complete the work on those, then that avenue will be reimbursing us for those.
For the federal highway funds, are they waiting until all those projects
Yeah.
are done? So
Everything has to be completed, so they're taking on both sites at County Road 13, County Road 102. I mean, all of that is completed, but they won't submit, and they submit on those projects 100% reimbursement. The bridges will be a 80-20 split, but they won't submit the funds to us until all the projects are done. So we are in process for engineering on the 162 bridge. We pretty much know the repair on the 150 bridge isn't that big a deal, but it has been engineered out by our engineering firm. And then 162, we're waiting on the complete workup of the engineering. Then we will move towards a bid process and then get the work done. So honestly, we're probably a year or 2 out.
okay. I guess since you mentioned engineering of bridges, I know we went down this road once and kind of hit a roadblock, but I was talking to Commissioner Burgess in Lincoln County last week, and they actually were able to get a bridge designed by engineering students at School of Mines. It wasn't stamped. They still had to have a PE review and stamp, but they were successful in that. So if you wanted to reach out to them
Yeah,
and
I might
see
have to chat with them. 'Cause
how they
we
work
did
that
hit a
process.
roadblock
Yeah.
on that.
And we do often, so I wasn't surprised, but when if Lincoln County can do it, I know we can.
Yeah, we should be able to do it. Yeah, I would agree.
But that might be something for Dale to chase down.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so like I said, on category C, we're submitting 112 either today or tomorrow. And then it would be nice if it works as fast as A and B did, because that would be fantastic.
Thank you.
More questions for me?
Just, the guys left, but tell them great job. The box is great. And I appreciate what Rhonda said about the cooperation between departments, between Public Works, IT, and the Clerk and Recorder's Office working to get this done. Always hasn't been so smooth working between departments, and it appears as though this one did. So really appreciate that.
I've been around a little while too, and things have been improved there a lot, in my opinion. Okay, thank you guys.
Have any other staff? Tiffany?
Morning, Commissioners. Tiffany Hermes, Finance Director. Just going to give you an update on the audit. We have gotten finalization on our single audit, so we're just wrapping up the final pieces, and we will be presenting to you that on September 25th. And we are in the middle of now our budget season. We have received budget summaries from all our general fund departments, going over the changes that they have, and that'll be presented next Tuesday, September 17th, in an open meeting to you all, so they can represent what they're asking for. And our budget stories have also been opened to all the departments, so they can start working on their stories as well.
Thanks. Anything good? Nope. Looking forward to next Tuesday. So.
Thank you.
All right, I think that takes care of that. So we'll open now for citizen public comment. This is an opportunity for folks to bring forward issues that may not be on today's agenda. If there are questions, we'll try to answer, but we'll hold any comments we have until public comment is complete. Do we have anybody for public comment? Oh. Ma'am. Don?
Good morning, Don Gray, 16,000 Highway 86. The normal question is, have we heard anything from Excel? Their last statement was that it would be in the final quarter of this year. We're in the final quarter of this year, so we expect something to come from them. But just the question, have we heard anything from Excel?
Okay.
Thanks for your time. And Sean, by the way, thank you for remembering.
Ma'am? And if you could, just your name and address for the record.
Dana Hayes, 24421 Main Street.
Thank you.
I had to remember because I have a P.O. box instead. So the road work done on Main Street with the water issues that we are having, is this your permanent fix at this time?
Okay. And you are talking the Main Street of Elbert?
Yes, sirree.
Okay.
Also, one of our neighbors in dealing with this is having a lot of problems with her home. The water was going towards her, the house, the foundation, and has been actually two of our neighbors. We have done our grading, so we don't have an issue, but we've noticed that what has happened since we've done our grading, and you guys have come through and kind of screwed that up. And so we're gonna be redoing our corner, but there was some nasty conversation with the, whoever came out to do the work. I think that's unprofessional and none of his business, and he basically told our neighbor that they should not have bought the house because of the issues, but the issues were not in her house docs. So back to my original question, there's a ditch that was put there. Is that permanent? And why is there no signage for that ditch? Because it's a decent dip.
Okay, ma'am.
The other one I have is in accordance, and I did not make the last two meetings, so I don't know what was discussed, was about the extraordinary raises for our commissioner and attorney, whichever those positions were. I understand that it was accepted that a mistake was made, and apparently now there's going to be some policy created in regards to that.
Commissioners, that's 3 minutes.
And we will be discussing that later on the agenda.
Okay.
That topic, so,
Thank you.
all righty. I'll just quickly take, on Excel, they have not made submission, but the CDS director has been informed that they will apply this month, but we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, I talk a little bit about Elbert. It's been on our radar for quite some time. Our plan is to have a public forum where we bring a surveyor in. That's what our foundation and where we're going to have to start with the town of Elbert is get a resurvey done. But we want to have him there at the public meeting because it's going to require buy-in from everybody in the town. There's some significant issues down there with the current layout and the survey. And for us to be able to get in and do the work that we need to do to alleviate a lot of that drainage issue, it's going to take cooperation from everybody, and we want to start with that meeting. I'm not familiar with the work that you discussed, but I can certainly look into it, and give me your number afterwards. I'll find out about it and give you a call.
Thanks. Yeah, seeing no other folks that want to make comment, we'll close public comment for now and move to our discussion items. The first is discussion regarding mineral lease extension with Lone Tree Energy Partners. Bart?
That's correct. This is something we've discussed in open meeting before, but it's also something that in the past we initiated a couple of leases related to the same folks. It's really just an extension of that. We did require an expansion of the fees associated with that. So that was agreed to. We kind of went back and forth on that and came up with fees that made sense. So that is something that should be in front of the board. There is a timeline to that, and so we're hoping we can get execution of that completed, and then potential ratification of that as well down the road. But that's essentially what that is. We should be getting money, checks cut associated with that, and there's also royalties associated with that. And my understanding is that those mineral extractions have done okay, if not good. So.
Any comments?
I've spent a long time in the oil and gas business, so when I talked to Bart about the lease, we went over and we increased the amount that they offered a little bit, and these minerals are located up in the northwest corner of the county, and it has to do with lands under roads and things like that, and where we ended up with the ownership of the minerals. These particular ones have not been drilled yet, but they're in the vicinity of where there will probably be some activity. And notice I use the word probably because you never know for sure. That it's just another little income stream for the county.
Now, just based on the timing, I think we had 45 days from when we received it. I think that's very close to our next meeting. If our next meeting isn't within that 45 days, unless you guys object, I'll sign it. We can ratify at the next meeting.
And it would be on the consent?
Yeah. Thanks. And if we've got time to get it on the next meeting, we can just put it on consent for full approval and signature after. Okay, thank you. Okay, discussion on policy for executive contracts. This is an outgrowth of the special meeting we had last week. and I know, Bart, you had a conversation with the gentleman that was representing several of the citizens that had concerns.
I did. So I sent an email out and scheduled a time to communicate with that council, essentially with the goal in mind of inviting those folks to engage and provide input into a policy as far as moving forward with initial contracting or renewals of executive positions here in the county. They flat out did not want to participate is what the conversation let out. The rest of their, they wanted to delve into additional issues that are pretty much outlined in their letter. So I think, obviously up to this point, that's what we wanted to try and engage them on. And I think at this point they're not interested in doing so. So that being said, up to this point, I've been able to participate in the discussion with acknowledged waiver of any conflict of interest. And I think at this point, we've probably reached the point where other council needs to step in and advise the county and the commissioners based on that conflict at this point. So that's where we're at.
Appreciate that. Again, I'd agree based on that. I mean, we're hoping to work through this in I would say, a friendly nature that could accommodate the concerns of the citizens. If that's not to be the case, then I don't believe it's right to put you in the middle of a controversy regarding your own contract. So if you guys are okay with it, I reached out the other day to a firm that's represented us in the past on related issues, I would say, and done well for us. So if you don't mind, I'll continue to work with him and see if we can get him engaged to work on this for us. In terms of the policy that was discussed, regardless of whether others would like to participate or not, we've always done our policies and worked through them and approved them in open meetings, and I think we should still go forward with that, because obviously there were community concerns about the process, and I think we can put together something that would withstand the absolute strictest reading of the open meetings law and ensure that there's no question going forward. And we discussed this at our last special meeting of looking at a mechanism that allowed transparency, but also some level of privacy is not the right term, but confidentiality in terms of the actual negotiations, but at the end would bring a contract out for consideration and final approval by the board in a way that was also transparent to the citizens. In regard to your comments, ma'am, the excuse me, the process we used, I think it is obviously open to debate whether the process was perfect. And what we had said in the past is, had we erred, we believe we corrected any error in transparency by later taking those contracts forward into a public meeting and ratifying them. That's obviously disputed by some folks, but we'll continue on that. And in terms of exorbitant increases, I would submit they were not. We have worked for the last 2 years, actually we've worked for the last 8 years, but quite focused on it in the last 2 years to bring all county employees up to a fair market rate. We began with our deputies because that was the most significant place we had shortfalls, and we were having trouble recruiting and retaining our deputies Over the last several years, folks that had been with the county for as long as Grant and I, over that time we were able to bring up pay on average 83% for all the deputies in some cases. For folks in the sheriff's office, well over 100% of where they were when we first joined. That process was worked through all of the staff until we got to the 2 employees that worked directly for the board. And those 2 raises to bring them up to pace, a competitive rate for those that are in jobs like theirs or similar in the county. I think we were satisfied with where we could get them to, but the annual rate of pay that they were granted is prorated throughout the final parts of the year. So I believe they were in the nature, depending on which position, 20 to 25% for the annual, as an annual increase, but it's only being paid out for, I believe, 7 or 8 months of the year. So, but again, if you look at similar folks, again, it's just the cost of good employees and retaining good employees and keeping the business functions of the county operating through a period of transition was very important to us. And it's kind of a synopsis of what we've talked to before, but I'm happy to go into detail after the meeting if you'd like as well. But, when we're competing against, similar positions to the county manager, the town manager of Elizabeth is making nearly $200,000. The scope of what he deals with is certainly much less than the county-wide issues dealt with here. The larger counties around us, their managers and attorneys do make substantially more than what we granted, and they have deputies that share the workload with them. So if we're looking at El Paso or Arapahoe, nearby counties that we do compete with for employees, a manager and his deputy or an attorney and his deputy are pushing $500,000 just for those 2 people for that function, and granted they're bigger counties, but the functions are largely similar. So just getting people up to what the market is for good employees is important to us. I think it's important for the citizens that the county be able to function professionally. I know you had noted one employee that perhaps did not have a professional conversation, and I'm sure that'll be addressed afterwards. But I thank you for bringing it up, and this will be an ongoing discussion. But okay. Thank you. So with that, if anybody has anything to add? Okay. Moving on to discussion of the clear ballot voting equipment contract. Where do we want to start with that?
And I'll let our clerk and recorder weigh in if she feels it's appropriate. We've received the contract. It's been reviewed. Kind of the terms of the agreements that are associated with that. There was some issues that need to be addressed in order to be, in order for my comfort level to be there to move forward with an executable contract. Those questions or concerns have been relayed. So I think it was just yesterday when those were relayed. So, we'll see what the response is when that comes back. And I do anticipate we should be able to, in short order, address those handful of issues and have an executable contract in the near future.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
How long will the contract be for? 2, 3 years?
The last contract was 8 years.
Yeah.
This one will be for 6.
Possibly. And the term is one of those issues that was brought up.
So I just wanted to say that we are excited about moving forward with Clear Ballot. I'm confident that we can work out the issues with the contract. Our new Deputy of Elections has worked with Clear Ballot, and we have Ballot certification was this week, so we got the certified content for the ballot, and we did get it on one card, so that's a bonus. The state had told us everybody would have at least 2 cards this year because there was so much on it, and we were able to get it on one card. And when Chris saw what we have to do to program Dominion, he was just like, Clear Ballot is so much easier to work with, and they have been very responsive on our end, on the programming, I think they're gonna be very good to work with. We're pretty excited about going to that. So we'll finish out this year with Dominion, and hopefully we can get that contract ironed out pretty soon, but I'm confident that we can because they've been very responsive in all the other areas.
Just agree. I've been included in those negotiations with my past experience in the clerk's office. So we'll see what they come back with, and we'll keep working at it. But we'll get something put together.
All righty, thank you. Okay, moving on to discussion of the road use agreement for high-tech RV and boat storage.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. Bart Greer, County Attorney. Yeah, this is something that we put together. I've been working with, CDS and those folks on, as well as Public Works on having a road use agreement that made sense for improvements and that sort of thing that associated with this business operating, and essentially put something in place that allows for road damage, road maintenance that's increased because of business traffic to be addressed and compensated back to the county. This is something that the Public Works Director and I both worked on pretty closely. We're both happy with the content of this road use agreement. And so it's here for consideration of adoption by the county so we can execute it with the business owner of this establishment and have that part of our agreement moving forward in order to maintain this particular area of road.
Questions or comments for staff?
Just a quick comment. When we heard the application at the county commissioner level, that was one of the items we included in the approval process, is that they had to have a mutually acceptable road agreement with the county staff. So getting this done is just another one of those things that has to be completed. And to me, having read it, I think it could go on the consent calendar for the consent agenda for the next meeting.
And I think that's fine. That's exactly correct. I believe it is a condition of approval.
Yes.
There's some accommodations made for what those improvements need to be taken into account, that it's hard to do so when it's freezing and snowing and that sort of thing. So there's a time frame to do this. But essentially, if the terms are not met, then approval would not be met either with that particular consideration. And so that being said, I think everybody, at least on our side, is happy. My understanding in dealing with community development services is that terms are acceptable to the applicant on this as well. So I don't anticipate any issues with putting this on the agenda for consent on our next meeting date.
Thank you.
Just a curiosity question more than anything. In 8AI, it says that the approximately 2,200 feet of the north-south oriented gravel road running south from Highway 86 southerly beyond the ingress-egress point of high-tech storage, how far past that entrance into the storage place does this maintenance go? I don't know, how far is it from the entrance to 86, I guess is my question.
I believe that 2,200 feet is the distance.
It's right to the...
Yeah, I think
to the entrance. Okay,
that's the distance from.
That was my understanding, but with the way this read, it was to.
That was something I checked with. But
was beyond. The word beyond is what question there.
Yeah, and that's up to the entrance, and so
Okay.
that full 2,200 feet should encompass where it's coming off, you know, that other road into Mall Road. Taking into account, you're going to be dealing with trailers and, you know, RVs and those sorts of things, so it's long enough to accommodate those.
that.
I expect that there's going to be, with the weight of those, some additional maintenance on that road that's going to be needed because that road will be torn down quicker.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
I
yeah, it
think
looked like Monty had some
certainly
specifics on that.
To answer that question, the entrance to High Tech is approximately 1,000 feet off the highway, so it's kind of right in the middle. So the assumption would be that most people are going to go to the highway, but then what if they don't? What if they go south? What if folks are, you know, decide to take that southern route? So the 2,200 feet, that's how that was determined, was we'll do semi-equal distance both directions to, just in case either north or southbound traffic has impacts to the road.
That clarifies, like, because it looked like on the map, it was almost like the entire frontage of their property was what.
Right, it actually extends a little bit past the frontage of their property, but,
But equal
you know,
distances, north and south.
yeah, I would like to get that, have the road mitigated to handle that extra traffic and the extra weight, you know, as I said, equal distances from.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
No, thanks. So I think putting it on consent at the next meeting is fine. We've got it out publicly, and if we get any comments or if anything changes, we can pull it off consent and discuss it under action if need be.
Yeah, that's fine. I think, given the statement by the Public Works Director, I think we could probably provide a little more instruction saying perhaps 1,100 feet in each direction from the entrance.
Okay, yeah.
One additional qualifier that we can put in there that makes it extra clear.
Yeah.
So I'll work on that with the applicant, CDS, just to make sure that that particular change is accommodated by everyone. And
Yeah.
something on consent, I'll let the board know if it should be pulled off for further discussion.
Okay.
I don't anticipate that's going to be a problem.
Okay, yeah, either indicated in the text or refer to the graphic, so it's clear. So, alrighty, moving on to our action items. The first is consideration of the August 14th, 2024 minutes. I was not present for the afternoon sessions and land use, so I'm gonna recuse myself from this. And I guess pass it.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the August 14th, 2024 minutes as presented and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passed.
Similarly, I don't believe.
Yes, and I was absent from the August 28th meeting, so I will recuse myself from accepting those minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the August 28th, 24 minutes as presented and dispense with the reading of those minutes.
I will second that. So we have a motion and a second to approve the August 28th minutes and dispense with the reading. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope. Motion passes. Excuse me. Moving on, we now have a short public hearing for a special event liquor permit for the Elizabeth Area Chamber of Commerce.
Mr. Chair, I move we open a public hearing for special event liquor permit for the Elizabeth Area Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to open public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. All righty. Amanda?
Good morning. We received an application from the Elizabeth Area Chamber of Commerce for their annual event, which is Pints in the Park. It will be held on September 28th from 8 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. I have received all of the required forms and fees, and I have not received any comments, and staff is recommending approval.
Do you have any questions for staff? No, it seemed pretty straightforward. They've been doing this every year, moved the location a few times, and changed the name, but I'm not aware of any issues we've ever had. No. Okay. I'll open for public comment on this. Seeing none, I'll close public comment, and I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the special event liquor permit for Elizabeth Area Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the special event liquor permit for the Elizabeth Area Chamber of Commerce. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. I'd accept a motion to close public hearing on this item.
Mr. Chair, I move that we close the public hearing on special event liquor permit for the Elizabeth Area Chamber of Commerce.
Second.
Motion and a second to close public hearing on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. That hearing is closed. The final item of action we have for this morning is consideration of approval of a quitclaim deed for a portion of County Road 150 that had previously been abandoned. We discussed this at our last meeting and a few other times prior to, but it looks like all the paperwork's together.
It is, and again, Bart Greer, County Attorney, this is something I believe we've discussed 2, if not 3 times at prior meetings. But I will go ahead and explain it again. This is a road that has formerly been known as County Road 150. It's been abandoned for a while. It's not something that obviously is any longer a county road or anything that's maintained by the county. The landowners of that area had some challenges associated with the flooding that everybody else had challenges with a year ago. Or a little bit more, and that was one of the main egress points to their location. They wanted to be able to take that over. They wanted to be able to maintain it, make any improvements that are necessary, and with the county no longer maintaining and doing that sort of thing. It was a discussion that we had with community members of that area that if they wanted to put an HOA together that was specifically focused on building, maintaining, and doing any improvements on that road for their primary ingress and egress, that the county would consider quitclaiming it or deeding it over to them. They've done all the work. Quite frankly, I'm pretty surprised that, 8 to 10 families and property owners were able to come together and be of like mind enough to put an HOA together for this specific purpose, and they did so. So that's to be commended. At this point, the quitclaim is put together. It's ready for execution. We've certainly discussed it, but I've discussed it again in detail here. I would ask that the board approve execution and moving forward with the quitclaim deed to provide what was formerly County Road 150 and to be known as Private Road 150 moving forward.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
So that's a quitclaim to the HOA?
It would go to the HOA, yeah, the collective, which is set up to collect funds and fees from those folks in order to build and maintain that road.
Alrighty. Well, I appreciate you shepherding it through, because I know you said, getting a lot of folks to agree on one thing is often hard. So I'm glad that they persevered. I would accept a motion on this one.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the quitclaim deed for County Road 150 and authorize the signature of that quitclaim deed.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. So that's properly formed. Do we have any comment from the room? Okay, seeing none, I would ask that all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. So moving on to board planning, looks like at our next meeting, we'll have presentation of our 2023 audit. Likely discussion of, or presentation of a draft of the executive contract policy, ratification or approval depending on the date requirements for the mineral lease. So obviously minutes from this meeting. And then, yeah, I guess that gets us started on that. Do you have anything else you'd like?
Road use agreement as well.
Oh, and this road use agreement, thank you. And then just upcoming workshops and study sessions on the 17th that was mentioned, pretty much an all-day affair in this room. We'll be working through a workshop on the 2025 budget and the opportunity for departments and offices to present their needs for next year. In terms of pending hearings, we do have 3 items on land use this afternoon. The first is not a hearing, just the setting of a date to hold a hearing for some metro districts associated with development known as EC East. But the 2 that we have in hearing today will be Dariana's Backyard, which is an SUR for a dog kennel, and an industrial tower west, meteorological tower near Matheson. So that concludes our business for this morning. It is, we'll call it 9:52, and we are in recess, and we'll reconvene here at 1 p.m.